Welcome back to What Arty Noobs. This is the 212A. It's the Tier 9 Soviet SPG. This one's located on the northeast corner of Karelia, and it's under the command of talon1958 of OLIMP, and it's another entry in the contest for the weekend line. Game on. Well, at the moment, you know that Angelina is in the lead. Yes, she submitted some fairly good replays, actually. It's surprising that she didn't get a higher ranking on her mastery, but I think that was mainly down to the fact that her teammates weren't shooting the tanks that she was stunning, because she was getting a lot of stun, but unfortunately, they just didn't shoot at them. Anyway, Talon's got the 212A, which has got the 203mm howitzer. It's capable of 900 alpha, and it will penetrate through 53, I think it's 53mm, 52mm, and it's got a 10.4 meters burst radius. Standard reload, 37.39 seconds. Rounds out. Talon's reload, 30.11, so he's not quite a bit off that, 7 seconds. Now, as you know, last week, Angelina won the contest yet again. I think she's had, what was it, 4 or 5 wins in a row or something like that. It's getting a bit repetitive, actually, because she always seems to be beating him. And this must be amusing little Remy quite a lot. That's a good shot. 430 hit points. And it was actually a near miss, not an actual hit. Changing his position slightly. You don't have to change your position very much, actually. All you really need to do is just alter it slightly, and that should be enough to throw off any enemy Arty if they happen to be doing counter battery work. Over in the northwest corner of the map, we've got well, there's a big battle going on over here, and we just lost our T-57 Heavy, and he fired at the AMBT, expecting him to move forward. He did eventually move forward, and he got some hit points out of him, but not a huge amount. Now, from his current position, he can shoot down the southwest channel, or you can actually shoot up at the northwest corner of the map. And in fact, actually, he can get a nice shot into that cram barn. Almost reloaded. Yes, we switch back to Damocles. That's the name of the HUD, by the way, for Arty use. People actually did ask which HUDs we use, and well, I haven't done a printout of the Aslanes mods for some time. I probably need to do that again, because I put it on the Facebook page so that people could access it. There's an album with all of the ones which I've selected, but I haven't updated that for a while. Oh, our shell went in there a little late. So maybe I can actually do another printout, and then at least you'll be able to see which ones I'm currently using for Aslanes mods. But it is Aslanes, and so if you want to check on which mods that you can select so you can have the same lookout, then, or outlook I should say, rather than lookout, then that's fine. I do use their battle assistant rather than the wargaming one, because the wargaming one's a little unstable, which means that it tends to look up suddenly and try to look over objects, whereas the stable one you get from Aslanes doesn't try to do that. The only problem is you have to keep logging in, getting permission to use that particular battle assistant, but it is much much better for it, because the other thing it does have shell camera. So if you wanted to use shell camera, you can use that on that mod. Oh, that was a direct hit, a lovely one. Now, you wouldn't have seen that, but for the fact, of course, he didn't view away after shooting. He did look to see what happened to the shell, and he saw it was a direct hit. No explosion. Now, if you'd looked away, all you would have seen is no results on the bottom of the screen. But you wouldn't have known that the shell actually did connect with something. And that's important information that would have gone missed. Well, he fired in correctly at the exact moment that the T-30 would have been hit, but the T-30 was already gone. Now he's looking for the lurver. Bit of a difficult shot. He'd need to splash that guy in order to do some damage. Can't see anyone up there. We just don't have enough scouts in that area to look for us. But the enemy M53 has been spotted. That's our opposite number in this game. And an AMBT as well. But he's looking around for another target he can use. And virtually, well, none of the enemy are in sight. Oh, well, one enemy is turned up on sight in the northwest corner. But he instead goes for the splash on the cram barn. 329 hit points is another good shot. It's all adding up. Great thing about 2128 is you have plenty of ammunition. Wargaming gave it 40 rounds, but of course they didn't do the same to some of the other arties that you actually find in the game, which is very, very annoying actually, because you only get 20 rounds of ammunition in the M53, M55. Now the 2128 is a fictional arty, whereas the M53, M55 actually did exist, and in large numbers. Rounds out in the ABT. Well, it looked a good shot to me. It did stun the guy, but it actually impacted on the ridgeline above the ABT and shielded him from the shot. Cram barn's next. We're almost loaded. When you get a situation like this and the Skoda's going up to try and encounter the cram barn, it sometimes does help to mark the ground nearby so that your teammates can see that, yes, you're helping them. If you actually mark the target instead, they might see that as well. ABT. Oh, that was a good one. It definitely touched him. Definitely touched him. No doubt about that. Another bad thing about this 2128 is it's got a narrow arc of fire, because it's only 4 degrees either side of the center line, which means even if you move the vehicle just slightly, your reticule blooms out massively. And it takes you a little while to dial back in again. But seeing as it's a Soviet SPG, that normally dials in fairly quickly. Well, both of the tanks got stunned, but the T-30 managed to get rid of his stun quickly, whereas the 53TB didn't. He's picked up a massive amount of stun assist off that shot, and that's definitely going to help him, and the game is over. Here's the end of battle results for the first game, and that was the third-class tanker for talon1958 in the 212A. He managed to get a bruise medal for getting at least 5 critical hits in this game. He managed to get 9. His win rate was 1,102, which is good, but sadly there was no medals in this game, and in fact he didn't hit a huge number of enemy tanks. As you can see from that list, there wasn't that many. The game was over fairly quickly, actually. When it came to damage, we can see that he's way down the table, in fact in the lower half of the table, with only 1,324 hit points of damage. The high score in this game was the T-30 with 3,875, followed by the Jaegeru, who managed 3,202, and in third place it was the cram barn on the enemy team with 2,198. When it came to kills in this game, the T-30 scored that one as well. 3 kills to him. 2 kills to the Jaegeru, the T-54, the Skoda T-56, the Scorpion, and only 1 player on the enemy team managed to get more than 1 kill, and that was the 53 TP, but only 4 players on their team managed to get a kill at all in that game, which shows how outmatched they actually were. Talon didn't get any kills at all. But when it came to base XP, he's a lot higher up the table because he did get some stun assist in this game. 935 was the highest base XP. That goes to the T30, 903 to the Skoda T56, and 883 went to the ELC Ever90, who must have been doing a good job spotting. Yes, 3,437 hit points for spotting. And we can see that Talon got 757, which is not far behind that ELC. Let's have a look at the detail. 10 shots fired, 2 direct hits, no penetrations at all, but he got 9 splash. Damage of 1,324, all of it at more than 300 meters. Damage 4 of the enemy, didn't get any kills, but he did get 1,804 hit points of stun assist off 8 stuns, and most of that stun assist came right at the end of the game on the last few targets. Now, he did earn a profit from this game, 66,683 credits, but he did get a mission completion, and that's why it boosted up the score. And on top of that, he also got 2,271 experience points as well. So he says, well, at least there's stun damage. Yes, I think that's the positive side of it. Right at the end of the game, he at least got some stun damage, and that got him a third-class mastery out of the game. But sadly, it doesn't beat Angelina, who is currently in the lead with a second-class bruiser and a win rate of 2,345 in her game in the M40, M43 on Ghost Town. So, yes, he's still got that tall mountain to climb to beat Angelina. At the moment, it doesn't look good to the Weekend Lion, but he did send in another replay. So let's have a look at that one right now. The second replay is in the Hummel, the Tier 6 German SPG, and we're on the east spawn of Sand River Encounter. Game on. Well, as usual, you can see that Talon's opted to have the stock gun, which of course is the same gun as on the Gorilla. The reason I stopped talking there for a moment is I've actually just noticed there's no mods on this replay. I think it's modless because we're not showing the proper identification on the end of the barrels. I'll have to check that later because I did update earlier this morning. Rounds out. Oh, very good first shot. 85 hit points. Now the output from this howitzer is 480, 38mm pin and 6.7 meters burst radius. That first shot was a juicy, but I think he actually made it a little too late because it looked like the enemy tank was actually going to make it through the pass just as the T1 Heavy there made it through before the shell actually arrived. But he was lucky because the enemy G2 actually stopped and the round caught him just as he stopped. So perfect. So it was right in the right position. It's just the enemy tank made the mistake of actually stopping. Okay, there's the same G2. And you can see where the shell hit him was right on the front of the vehicle. Now, can he get another shot? Rounds out, looks good. Close. Very close. Now, the Hummel, of course, as you know, is made from a modified hull that actually came from a Panzer IV. The Germans were very good at actually reutilizing tanks that they were actually using at any one time, or manufacturing, and then converting them to other uses. He hit the KV-1 right on the rear, on the engine deck. It made sense, actually, that you didn't have to have multiple different types of vehicle. You could mass manufacture the parts for any particular vehicle, and they would be used for a variety of uses, such as tank destroyers, such as artillery, and also for the tanks. Churchill 7, almost loaded. Standard reload for this RT, 25.31. Talon's got 20.50. Rounds out. Well, the guy moved back. He probably already knew that there was RT coming. But the shell actually went long and to the right. So instead of actually hitting, or to the left, instead of actually hitting the Churchill, he hit the water. You see, he has been hit on the front of the vehicle. And that is a nice hit on the front. Tracked him. Makes him vulnerable. Now, if we're going to get some damage assist. Nope, because he fixes his tracks and pulls back. Now we've got an AMX-13 FL11, one of those free tanks. Now we can probably put the round in there. Oh, he pulled back straight away, so obviously he's got the warning which told him you're under fire. And he's popped out again, which makes him even more vulnerable because we do reload rather quickly with the stock gun. That's one of the benefits of having the stock gun. You get more shots in a game, more chance to spread the Arty love around. And of course, the more enemy tanks you hit, the more chance you've got of getting that Confederate, which is so important to making sure your credits and also your XP are higher, even if you lose the game. There's a lot of action going on in the riverbed. There's also a lot of action going up not so far away. Direct hit on the Chi-2 again. 221 this time. Still a non-penetrating shot, but it's an accurate shot. Well, that AMX-13 FL11 couldn't really get a shot when he was beside the mosque. So he's decided to pop around the corner instead, and that will be his undoing if he keeps doing that, because Talon will punish him. Oh dear, we just lost our Panzer IV Ausführung H. The Churchill, though, is a one-shot if we can get it on target. And he does. Beautifully done. So he's got his first kill. He's looking up into this corner because the enemy have pushed around the corner. But that T1 Heavy is a one-shot. If we can land a shell on him, he will expire. Almost guaranteed. He's only got 128 hit points. Rounds out. Yep, got him. Again, he's taken another gun out of the game. The enemy is still pushing through. And one of the tanks that's pushed through is an AEC, which is one of those new British wheelies. So he really does need to change position. Kind of protect himself, actually. Okay, there's the AEC. And he's gone. On the other side of that dune, we can see an AMX-13 FL11. There's still a lot of them about. People are actually finding them good for training. KB1. He's not being helpful. In fact, he's being very clever to avoid receiving any damage by hiding behind the rock. He must know where the spaces are that you can go to avoid being hit by Arty. That's somebody who probably does play Arty himself and therefore knows exactly how you have to line yourself up in order to avoid fire. But he did get taken out in the end by T1 Heavy. Okay, Chi-2 again. You can see the mark on the front of the vehicle in yellow. That's where the shell went in. Oh! Kill shot! 346 hit points from that one. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a low roll penetrating shot. There's only 4 enemies left, but there's only 5 left on Talon's team, so he does need to push. And in fact, he's decided to use his W key to change position altogether and try and advance on the enemy. Now it is slightly easier to advance from this direction. You've got the dunes in your favour, you can hide behind those. The enemy G-Ro's been spotted at the other end of the map, but he's probably, I say probably, don't know if he's, oh he is in range. And the enemy M44 has just been tracked, and again, so he's going to take a little while to fix. Oh! Well, that was very explosive, and the G-Ro, well, he was handled very carelessly there because he tracked himself and he had to burn his repair kit to get back into the game. Now, Talon's almost fully dialed in, but the G-Ro does kill our Staghound. Rounds out. Direct hit for 195. Good shot. The problem now is that we've got 2 tanks in the cap area, and they are capping, but they would be better off actually going after the enemy. Talon's opted instead to get on this side of the village where he's got the buildings in his favour and the bushes. So if he uses these to his advantage, they won't see where he is, but he can still get shots on the enemy. The building just to his right might be a bit close, but Oh, he's been spotted. Somebody on the enemy team just saw him. And I think it might be that T-52. Now, you might have to drop down into the riverbed. Now, where is the enemy tank? Oh, he's behind him. Well, if he'd actually been the other side of the riverbed, he would have received fire, but he's taken 3 rounds from that 57mm main gun, which has got loads of penetration behind it. It's a 6-pounder type gun. He's running, but I'm afraid he's down to his last few hit points. Oh dear. Well, we almost have capped out. So the enemy made a huge error not resetting the cap. I thought they would have done that straight away. I thought it was also a mistake for the Crusader and the Wolverine to start capping because it would take too long. And if the enemy got close, they would actually get a reset. As it is, they might actually cap out. And they have! Amazing! Here's the end of battle stats, and that was the second-class tanker for talon1958 of OLIMP in the Hummel. He managed to get a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he got 8 in this one. And he also got a win rate of 2,611, which is very good indeed. It's Unicum standard, actually. And I think that actually does beat Angelina. Yes, because Angelina had a second-class bruiser and a win rate of 2,345. So with this game, Talon's actually beat her. Yes, he's actually now in the lead. But how long will he remain in the lead? I don't know. It all depends on if Angelina can come up with a better result. And she might just do that, you know, she might just steal it away from him at the last moment. So let's have a look at the rest of the results from that game. Talon got 1,410 hit points of damage in that game. He actually got the highest damage in the game, but he didn't get 20% of the enemy hit pool, which is why he didn't get the high caliber. Second highest damage went to the tank that killed him, actually. The T-52 managed 1,355 hit points of damage, followed by the Porlak tank on the enemy team, on his own team rather, managed 1,218 hit points of damage. When it came to kills, he actually managed to get 3 kills, the top highest number of kills in the game, alongside the A20 on his own team, the T-52 on his own, on the enemy team, and their G-Row. And when it came to base XP, he's actually a little way down the table with 601, whereas the highest scorer was the A20 with 775, followed by the T1 Heavy 748, and then the Stackhound was 732. So he did very well. He got the top in 2 of the columns, but just failed to get it on the 3rd column because he didn't get enough stun assist in that game. 17 shots fired. It's a lot of shots fired. 8 direct hits, 1 penetrating shot. Now, can we guess which one it was the penetrator on? I think it was the Cheetu. Let's have a look. Yes, it was. That last shot with a high roll, that was a penetrating shot. Killed the Cheetu outright. 652 hit points alone off that one tank, all on his own. He also got 11 splashes, damage of 1,410, all of it at more than 300 meters. Damage 5 the enemy. Damage 5, no. Received 5 hits from the enemy, all 5 penetrated, because the armor on Hummel's negligible, really. It's they actually made it more lightweight, to save steel, but also because the howitzer was actually quite heavy, so they needed to reduce the weight in the vehicle so that the engine wasn't overtaxed by all the armor that the vehicle was carrying. Because of course the Arty was going to be at the back of the battlefield. So it wasn't intended for the vehicle to actually come into contact with the enemy. In fact, the Hummel was originally tasked with taking out the enemy Arty. That was its main job, counter battery. And so, yes, whenever the enemy Arty batteries were actually located, usually by the troops up front, passing the information back, then they would actually try to work out exactly where the enemy Arty was and counter battery that particular area. They also located them using airplanes, which would do reconnaissance flights, and they even, I believe, use huge microphones, which actually would actually listen to where the thump from the battlefield guns was coming from, the heavy noise they made when they fired, and they could actually triangulate the position of the enemy Arty using that. But of course, it's another reason why you need to relocate after firing, because if you don't, the enemy can work out where you are. And in fact, today they use radar to work out exactly where the enemy Arty is located, and then they confirm that using drones. And once they've got the confirmation, that's when they start firing. He managed to damage 6 of the enemy, kill 3, got 13 stuns in the game, but or 13 hit points of stun assist, but off 9 stuns only. So you can see that's where he failed to get either the first class or the ace tanker. On a premium count, he actually earned 21,053 credits, and he also picked up 6,313 XP because he's got a mission completion in there as well. So definitely talent is in the lead with this game. So Angelina's going to have to send in another replay to try and improve her score, or it looks like it might be Talon's winning the Weekend Lion this weekend. I hope you enjoyed that replay. If you did, please give this video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm, and thank you for watching.